Welcome to VGK Today, a daily podcast providing you an inside look at the Vegas Golden Knights 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run. I'm Justin Russo with the Golden Knights on Friday, April 25th, as the VGK now trail their first round series with the Minnesota Wild 2-1 after a 5-2 loss Thursday night in St. Paul for Game 3. Now the Knights again once struggled to fend off the top line of the Wild, as Kirill Kaprizov struck twice and Matt Boldy added another goal to give that pair a combined 8 goals among the 12 overall that the Wild have scored in the first 3 games of this series. It was a tough night for Vegas, but a win in Game 4 still gives them back home ice advantage and can swing things back in their favor. To recap the Game 3 loss, after the break, we'll hand it over to Dave Goucher and Shane Hnidy. Golden Knights fans, I'll once again remind you about Saturday's watch party from Lee's Family Forum for Game 4 between the Knights and the Wild. Doors open at noon while the party starts at 12:30 and puck drop is at 1 p.m. for Game 4. Parking and admission is free. Anheuser-Busch will offer specials on Bud Light drafts for $5 for a 12-ounce or $9.99 for a 20-ounce, and you can bring the whole family to have fun to watch Game 4 between the Knights and the Wild. It'll feature a DJ, visits from the VGK cast, and raffle prizes, including tickets to future Golden Knights games. Some of the giveaways will include VGK sunglasses, rally towels, and more. That is Saturday at noon at Lee's Family Forum, Game 4 watch party for the Golden Knights and the Wild.
All right, Shane. So we're standing in the lobby of the St. Paul Hotel after a Golden Knights loss in Game 3. So down 2-1, and some work to do here to try to pull even in the series. But what do you make of what you saw tonight and the spot the Golden Knights are in right now?
Well, some similarities to Game 2 and some differences, right? Similarities to score, kind of the situation. They fought back in it again late in the third. Power play couldn't come through. The effort was a lot better, I thought, for the full 60. Didn't get the start. Chasing the game hurt the Golden Knights. Fall down 2-0 early. They did get the goal back. It was 2-1. I think the 3-1 goal kind of hurt, and certainly the late one in the second, 4-1, was kind of, maybe that was the crushing blow. But that said, there's still some areas that just need to be better. I think, credit the Wild. You got to give them credit with their game plan and the way they defended the interior ice in the offensive zone. The Golden Knights just have not gotten a lot there. They've gotten some good chances. Philip Gustafsson made some key saves for them tonight. A huge one on Mark Stone late that would have pulled them within one before the empty net goal. But this is playoffs, right? It's game to game. They did correct a lot of things from Game 2. They're better than Game 2, but still not the result. So the goal is to continue to improve game by game, and a big Game 4 upcoming. You win that, all of a sudden home ice is back in your favor, and everybody's smiling again. But,
well, Minnesota, got a split of the first 2 games in Vegas, right? They lose the first game, win the second game. You mentioned not getting to the interior ice, not getting into the slot as much as they'd like. So is it a matter of will? Is it a matter of something technically they can adjust to and try to get to where they need to go?
I think there's going to be a few things, and we heard Bruce Cassidy talk about it, offensive zone, and they've had some really good sustained pressure in the ozone over, even that, look at Game 2, the back half of that game controlled a lot of time. Minnesota's comfortable playing that. They're going to let you play in the perimeter. So maybe it's about simplifying instead of looking for those cross-seam passes or whatever. Maybe it's a shot, more traffic, and then it's going to come down to second, third efforts to get to loose pucks in front. It's going to be those hard goals. We seem to talk about it all year, but even more so in playoffs. How much we talk about the battle for territory. Both ends, it's always important to defend that way, but certainly offensively, the willingness to go to those hard areas, get those type of goals that are, it might be a rebound goal, it might be a bounce off a body like the late goal, the power play goal at the end of the second by Minnesota. It was just a desperation play that went off a body and throwing a puck to the front of the net. I think there's some areas of the game they can simplify offensively. And with that, the difficult thing is they're trying. Sometimes you can try a little too much, the effort. So there's a balance in there. These guys got to find their confidence again offensively. They're a very good hockey team. They believe in one another. We talked about experience a ton. This is where it shines through. You've got to find that way to find a calm, to find your best game, but still put forth that hunger, that compete, and that effort level they need.
One of the things we talked about going into Game 3, Shane, but it's still a storyline, is Kaprizov and Boldy have killed the Golden Knights here. 8 goals, 4 each in the first 3 games. And It's the old John Adams. I know you know who John Adams is, Shane. He was the president of the United States back in the olden times. Facts are stubborn things. And the Golden Knights are still looking for some of their top players, and especially their top line, to get on the score sheet here.
They need some of their better players to be better. Yeah, no question about it. And they've got to find a way, certainly to try and slow down Kaprizov and Boldy. They're feeling it. There's an example of what confidence does for those elite players. All of a sudden, Kaprizov, you look at that second, it goes off him and in, an empty net, but he fires from almost behind his own net against the wall. It's all of a sudden those plays go in, whereas Mark Stone, who's trying to find a goal, that great chance, he had a lot of net, but he puts it into Gustafsson pad. So that's the difference of when you're feeling it and when you're not. But the Golden Knights, you look to your best players, and you look to Eichel, you look to Stone, to Barbashev, that top line. You can throw the Karlsson line in there. They got a shorthanded goal tonight. Can they do more? Hurdle was quiet tonight. Dorofeev, the other guy, Shea Theodore on the back end, some of their blue liners, and Aiden Hill. Not his best game. You need the goaltending. Philip Gustafsson's been the better goalie, so there's a lot of areas for improvement, and that's a good thing because I think they understand that. The players recognize the self-awareness is always there. They know, and it's on them. Yeah, pressure comes. That's part of the gig of being a professional athlete. So now it's that against recognizing self-awareness, need to be better. And now it's about going out and performing that, executing that to your best ability.
A couple more things. The power play, which has been so huge for them all year and was huge in Game 1. Tonight came up short, and they had 2 chances in the third period with a power play. And, we always talk about sometimes it's not how many you score, but when you get them. And, boy, they had 3 great looks on the power plays in the third.
They have, and that's another one of those moments. Who's out there? Your best players, right? And the power play that came through so much all season long. And special teams was a factor. Minnesota won that battle, and a lot of times the team that wins it is on top at the end of the night. Golden Knights did it in Game 1. So... once again, opportune times when you need it to strike, and that was certainly the case in the third period twice. They had their looks, they got their chances, so that's the positive. It wasn't like they didn't have anything. They had the looks they needed to get it. Hurdle had a great chance in the slot. We've seen led the team this year, so good at finding that back of the net. But Gustafsson came up. So credit them. Came up with the saves when they needed them, some timely saves. I still think the Golden Knights can force and pressure Gustafsson a lot more.
Last thing I was going to kind of kick at here is, and you mentioned this, so they did not trail in Game 1. They had not had the lead in Game 2 or Game 3. From a player's point of view, how draining is that to use up a lot of this energy just to try to pull even in games? I mean, tonight they were down 2-0, 7 minutes into the game.
Well, and I think that's the thing is not, if you fall down 1-0, that's okay. Don't fall down, don't let them extend. That's when you got to jump back, and that's part of the, those momentum shifts or pulling the game back in your favor however you can. And, it's interesting, and this is where I always think back to scenarios, I know how they feel. I can't say the word. Let's just say awful. But you've got to get over it, and you've got to move on it quickly because it is hard, and these adversities you learn throughout playoffs can make you stronger as you battle through them. And I always go back. I've won, fortunate of being a team that won 1 cup. Dave, you watched it. Do you remember round 1, the first 2 games?
Not a good start.
No, with the Boston Bruins at home, losing to the Montreal Canadiens as top seed in first 2 games, and then adversity that helped through 3-7 games. It's all part of those little learning lessons throughout that you got to be able to overcome, and it strengthens you as a group. So maybe this is just one of those lessons, and we'll see if they can pull out of it.
Yeah, well, Game 4 coming up here. Golden Knights on Saturday afternoon. Early start, of course, back in Vegas. 1 o'clock face-off. But that'll do it for this episode of VGK Today with Dave and Shane for this installment. Golden Knights down 2-1, but not all is lost. They'll try to pull even in Game 4 on Saturday.
Great stuff there from Dave and Shane after Game 3 between the Knights and the Wild. And, while it is on one hand frustrating that the Knights have struggled in certain areas in the past 3 games, I think the bright side, and something that Shane brought up too, is that the mistakes are for the most part correctable. Mistakes that are happening on the Knights' end that if they correct, they can start to see some more success in terms of the results in these games. And they have played some pretty good hockey for long stretches of the past couple of games, despite losing both of them by a final score of 5-2. So we'll see if the Knights can find some of those adjustments, get back to their game in Game 4, and see if they can even up this series at 2 before Game 5 next week in Vegas. We'll We'll step aside once again, and when we come back, we'll hear post-game reaction from William Karlsson and Bruce Cassidy. Golden Knights fans, you can experience the excitement of playoff hockey firsthand with a limited number of tickets still available at the Fortress for Game 5 between the Knights and the Wild coming up on Tuesday. Visit VegasGoldenKnights.com to learn more. If you want to see some football action here in the spring, well, you can check out the Vegas Nighthawks because they're back at Lee's Family Forum on May 3rd and May 10th. You can catch the fast-paced, family-friendly action of indoor football with tickets available at nighthawksfootball.com. As mentioned, let's jump to some post-game reaction from the Knights locker room after Game 3, and we'll start with forward William Karlsson.
Well, what did you feel was the ultimate difference maker in the game?
Well, they scored on their power play. Unfortunately, we didn't. I don't know, there's periods where we're playing really well, but we're not scoring, and then, they get a chance, and they're effective. And, it was a little back and forth, but obviously, at the end of the day, they're scoring more goals than we do, and, yeah.
What are they doing to make it difficult to get to the interior?
Yeah, they pack it in pretty well. Kind of 5 guys there in the slot, and then they kind of go from there. So they do a good job so far.
Is that what you felt after the first goal? Because after you guys scored, it seemed like you had a lot of pressure and you were controlling the pace going into the second. Yeah,
no, I think we, because obviously they scored 2 quick ones, and then we take back that momentum, and I think we get a goal as well, and I think we're playing good hockey, and then in the second, I think we're having some good shifts, and then they get the third one, and eventually the fourth one as well. So it's just like breakdowns, and they're hurting us too much right now.
Are you guys finding something that's working against them, getting pucks in deep and cycling it?
I think we've been pretty good on the forecheck. They do it hard also in the neutral, try to clog up the middle. So we're going to have to go on the outside. And then, when we do dump it in, we have some good forechecking, and we get the puck back, and, we get some ozone time. But, yeah, like I said earlier, got to get into the interior and, try to, pitch some pucks in there and get a greasy one.
Did it feel like the pushback took too long to finally start coming? Took till after down 2-0?
Yeah, obviously tough penalties, but I think we're in the game. Like they're coming out of the gate and they get 2 quick ones, and then I think we kind of push back and we get a goal, and we're feeling good. And I think we have the momentum going into the second as well. But yeah, the breakdowns hurt us a little bit. I don't know about the icing call, but stuff like that. Though, sometimes the bounce is going to be against you, so you're just going to have to fight through that as well.
That's 2 straight games that Minnesota's jumped out to that lead. Is that a concern at all for you guys as far as the start, or how do you think you counter that too?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be the team that scores the first goal. Obviously, it's always easier to play with the lead, so we're going to have to manage that next game, and hopefully we score that first one.
Veteran group, so I'm assuming no panic on your guys' side, but I guess how do you turn
No, there's no need for panic. It's one game at a time. All we can focus on is the next one, and have a status quo going back to Vegas, and that's what we're aiming for.
No panic for Will and the Knights heading into Game 4 on Saturday, and while it may feel like the sky is falling, again, it just takes one game, one period, or maybe even one shift to go the right way for the right players on this Golden Knights team to get them back going and back into form in this series. Let's now listen into some of what head coach Bruce Cassidy had to say after the loss.
Bruce, it seemed like for most of the game, guys got the pucks in deep, cycled it around, got sustained ozone pressure, but they continued to take away the middle. Just what has been the challenge of getting inside?
Well, it's going to be a challenge, as it is for them. It's playoff hockey, so to your question, I thought as we went along, we did a better job. No issues with that. Got to finish some of those plays, obviously. I guess where I'd say we need to be better is taking away the goalie's eyes once you do get your action at the net. So, or generate a rebound chance or two, right? We had some looks, but I don't think that was the issue tonight. I liked our engagement. Ozone, we were similar to the second half of the game the other night, I thought, at times where we could get some sustained pressure. You're not going to do that every night against good defensive teams, but especially second period, got ourselves back in the game. It just got away from us there at the end with some unfortunate circumstances, and that's hockey some nights.
And the decision to pull Hill for Schmid went into that.
Just getting Schmid some work. A little bit is we're comfortable with Schmid. Late game, we play Saturday at 3 o'clock, so there's no morning skate. And if we're going to skate tomorrow, I think Hilly would be the first to admit he needs a good practice, sort of regain his footing and feel good about his game. So there's a little bit of that goes involved. And having said that, we felt we could win with either guy. You know, Hill's ahead of Schmid, but Schmid's played well for us and went in and played well. So we weren't giving up on the game. What we were doing is, you know, making a swish, maybe get a spark, and there was other things that went into it. And Schmid did his job. He stopped every puck in there, and good for him.
Did the pushback you wanted in this game take too long for you to finally get there?
No, I listen, they started better than us. We kind of expected that, their first home playoff game in a bit, so you got to counter that. And part of that is we end up chasing the game, Ken. We take it too many men on the ice. Like, we jump for the wrong guy, so that's on all of us. We've been pretty good at that. I think it's probably our third all year. Bad timing tonight on that one. You know, and they convert from distance, right? Like, things are going well. I mean, that puck had eyes from 50 feet. It's not going in every night, and it found a way. Good player finding a shooting lane. We got to get a block there or save to get through that penalty. Then we get another one. So we don't have any, you know, we're killing. We're not gaining any momentum. So that didn't help us either. So, and then all of a sudden you're down 2-0 and you're chasing it. So eventually we did get to it, but we could have started better for sure. And that's why we got ourselves in penalty trouble early. And that's always good for the other team to get some touches and they get going and you're not using your bench. So, you know, eventually you got to work your way out of that, and we did.
Were the circumstances you're talking about the icing, and did you get an explanation on why that wasn't?
Listen, he blew the call. It's that simple. We're going to move on. There's nothing we can do about it now. We got to make a play anyway. Whether you got to play hockey. And it was a breakout below the goal line. The second goal was a breakout below the goal line. Our goaltender rimmed a puck, and we didn't communicate there. It's in our net. We have to have better coverage, but there's 2 goals below the goal line. So, yeah, I mean, we were going pretty good. They blow a call. They take advantage of it. Good for them. And then the fourth one, I mean, that goal happens once a year. That happened tonight. Goes in off his stomach. And good for them again. Get a puck to the net. You never know what's going to happen. But, you know, you're going into the room as a team and you're like, we're down 4-1 after that period. Like, what the hell just happened? But that's hockey some nights. You got to regroup and create your own breaks. They took advantage of them. We got to make sure we do in game 4.
Bruce, they got some saves, but what more would you have liked to see on the power play?
Second chances. I thought we got some good looks, but we didn't recover pucks to break them down again and tire them out. We missed we didn't execute on a couple. There was a backdoor play to hurdle we scored on all year. We just missed it. When we did attack the net, I don't think, like, Pav's shots from the elbow, Stoney wiped across. What we've been good at this year is winning that puck back, and then now you've got a tired team and a little bit out of position. So we got a couple of good looks. Jack got a good one-timer. Hurdle got his bumper shot. Pav, like I said, from the elbow, a few one-timers from the top, but we didn't recover and break them down. That's what I'd like to see better. Entries, they're stiff at the blue line. It's one thing they do. If you get in there clean, we had a great look from Stoney. It might have been 6-on-4, but that was almost irrelevant because the same breakout applies. But if you're going to get through there, then you should attack the net. So we got a good look, but I thought we could have been cleaner on our entries as well. So a little more time in the zone would have benefited us.
So Bruce certainly frustrated to be down 2-1, but you can still sense some optimism that things can shift in the Knights' favor coming up in Game 4. Though, of course, that will take some hard work to get to against a tough Minnesota Wild team. That'll just about wrap things up for today's show. Thank you, as always, for tuning into VGK Today, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your preferred podcast platform, as we'll be back every day throughout the Knights' 2025 Stanley Cup playoff run with new episodes. Tune in tomorrow as Gary Lawless catches up with NHL on TNT analyst Eddie Olczyk. Justin Russo signing off for VGK Today.